Welcome to my studio. I'm Jessie, and this is the Knit Up and Dye podcast, episode 42, Busy Doing Nothing. I have to say hello to so many new subscribers. I'm really surprised, actually. I seem to have had a big boost in subscribers lately, and I can only attribute that to the episodes with my son, as I haven't done a lot of episodes since he visited. I have a list of everybody I want to say hello to. Thank you all for your subscriptions, for your comments. I do this for you, and I love doing this for you, and certainly let me know what you'd like to see more of, and I'll try and make that happen for you. Big hello and thank you goes out to Gertrude, Harriet Rose, Judy, Lindarella, Roberta, Margaret, Kathy, Wendy, and Eleanor. Thank you all for subscribing. I love you all, and really, I really appreciate your comments, your compliments, your feedback. Thank you. I've got some... I'm not real organized this week. I took last week off. I just was busy doing so many other things. Really spending some time with my husband. We have had some opportunities to just get together and hang out, and that's important. We need to do that. And so I've really set a lot of stuff aside to spend time with him. Also, I've been very busy dyeing. I got another wholesale order that's gone up to Wisconsin. Congratulations, Carolyn and Kate. Unwound sounds like it's doing great, and I'm really excited for you, and I love sending you my yarns. So I'm trying to get back into the swing of things and start doing this weekly again, and I'm so sorry if you were looking for me last week. I did promise an episode, and it didn't happen. I was off shooting guns with my husband. Never thought I'd say that on a knitting podcast, but there it is. And that was good time spent, honestly. So I got some mail over the past 2 weeks, and I have some questions that I wanted to address and try and answer for you. And I have my little cheat sheet here. That's why I keep looking down and staring at that instead of looking up at you. And I'm just trying to mentally sort how I want to address things. And I think we're just going to start at the top and work down. I had a question regarding glazing versus overdyeing. And I'm sorry, I remember the question, but I don't remember who asked it. And the question was basically that I was still being a little bit confusing in how I'm addressing glazing versus overdyeing, and could I clarify the difference between the two? Absolutely. So glazing, which is often also referred to as veiling, is an application of dye that is thin, it is light, and it is meant to allow the first color to show through. I can best say that this would be like putting a glitter layer or a clear coat layer over your nail polish if you already have a color down and you're just adding an accent, either a shine or a glitter layer on top of it. So think of it this way. Your yarn is already dyed red, and you just want to add a little bit of sparkle to it. Your sparkle may be orange. You want to give it kind of a fiery look. It's a thin layer of orange to add orange in some places so that the red is still coming through, but you're seeing hints of orange in other places, very flame-like. Same as if you polished your nails red and you put just a thin glaze of orange over it, you would still see the red, but there would be some streaks of orange. That's glazing. It's also referred to as veiling because we're usually floating the dye in the water and it's catching on the yarn that it's touching versus drenching all the way through. Overdyeing. Overdyeing is I have a color, let's call it yellow, and it just isn't doing it for me. I don't want to try to make it more yellow. I don't want to try to add hints of another color to it. I want the yellow to go away. So I put red dye over it. And I put red dye over it in the quantity that the yarn is not going to be yellow with hints of red. It's not going to be a shade of orange. It is going to be red. That is overdyeing. That is completely rewriting the page. It is the same equivalently, if you had red nail polish on and you decided that you wanted black nail polish, and instead of removing your red nail polish, you just put a coat of black over the top of it, the red is no longer visible. Or if you had a room that was painted pink and you decided to apply wallpaper to it, same concept. We're completely covering what was previously there. And I'm really sorry if my description of glazing versus overdyeing had been lacking that definition before. I hope that that explanation really clarifies it for you, so that you recognize that glazing is an additive, whereas overdyeing is a replacement. I also had some questions over the past 2 weeks about my scribble dyeing. The scribble dyeing technique, I think I showed you 2 or 3 episodes ago, it was before my son was on, where I took condiment bottles, ketchup mustard bottles, I put my dye solution in that, I soaked my yarn in roasting pans and water and vinegar, and then I used the condiment bottles to scribble the dye all over the yarn. The question that I got was, and again, I'm sorry, I read these things and I think about them and then I can't find them again on my computer. So I'm sorry if it was you that asked, thank you for asking, and I don't remember who it was. But the question was, am I setting the yarn, am I putting it in the oven and letting the dye set before I flip it over and do the other side? Yes, absolutely. So by my method of scribble dyeing, because I have a big roasting pan, I put 8 cups of water in it, I put 1 cup of vinegar in it, I put the yarn in laying as flat as possible, I let it soak down so that it is fully saturated, 15 minutes maybe. The water is preheated. It has been in my microwave for about 4 minutes on high, so it's already pretty warm to the touch. The dye is hot. It is not boiling hot. It is hot enough to dissolve the dye in. I let that sit for a couple minutes, because if it gets too hot and I put it in the condiment bottle, it gets under pressure and then it squirts, and that's dangerous. Because I have that amount of water in there, when I scribble on the dye on top of the yarn, there's a little bit of extra fluid there on purpose, and that fluid allows for me not just to draw the lines on the yarn, but to have it bleed a little bit. I'm using primary colors. I want it to bleed a little bit, otherwise I'm going to end up with just the blue, just the magenta, just the yellow, just the black. Whereas with that little bit of bleed, because of the extra liquid in there, I'm getting oranges, I'm getting greens, I'm getting purples, everything is blending together, and I'm getting a whole variety of colors. Because there's that float happening, there's that blending happening, if I apply that on and then I immediately flip my yarn without letting it set first, I'm going to get mud. All the dyes are all going to blend together on the underside, and it's going to lose its distinct colors, it's going to lose its distinct lines. So yes, I apply to one side, I put it in my oven, it's in the oven until all the dye is taken up, generally about 20 minutes. Then I bring it back out, I carefully flip the yarns over, and I reapply and I reset it again. After that second set, I'll bring it out and I will peek down between the layers to see if there's excess white that I didn't apply to before. I generally do 2 skeins in one of my roasting pans at the same time. If I did just one, I would probably get away with only having to flip it once and not do that second thing. It's a little confined, it's a little tight, and that's why I'm doing that final step where I'm looking down in between. I'm hitting it with some dye again, and I'm setting it a 3rd time. That's just my process. There's no hard, fast rules to this. You can do anything your heart desires. We're only putting color on yarn, and how you get it there, that's part of the art. The techniques that I show you are techniques that I've sorted out that work for me, that get the results that I'm able to show you. But that's not the Bible, it's not the end all, it's not the rule book. It's a way of applying it, and any way you can get it on there is the right way for you. I know people that use Q-tips and daub color on. I know another woman who uses a turkey baster. I know people who actually thicken it with guar gum and then hand paint beautiful things on sock blanks. Any way you can get color on yarn that is pleasing to you is the best way to do it. So, oh, one other question, and this was from Jenny. Thank you, Jenny, for emailing me. She said, your dolls are beautiful. Do you dye your fabrics? Will you be showing us beading techniques? Thank you, Jenny. I appreciate it. No, I don't dye my own fabrics. All of my dyeing is protein-based dyeing. That means that I'm dyeing on hair, animal wools. I do not dye on natural fibers. I do not dye on plant-based fibers such as cotton. The fabrics that I use are batik fabrics that I get just in a quilting store or fabric store. Thank you for complimenting the selection. I think they are beautiful. I love them myself, and I think that's a lot of why I gravitate to them when I'm using them for the dolls. As well as they just offer color on color tonality. They're less structured than a calico. They do have kind of a watercolor effect to them that just, it works well with the style that I have. As for, will you be showing us beading techniques? Hadn't occurred to me, hadn't thought about that. My podcast is really more my knitting and my dyeing. I may opt to show you some beaded knitting and how to apply beads to your knitting later on. I don't know that I'm going to show bead embroidery. I may opt to do a separate episode, if you will, that specifically shows that. It wasn't something I was planning on, and it seems a little bit of a sidestep to this particular thread. If other people are interested in it, certainly come forward, let me know, tell me, hey, we want to see it, and I will do it. I don't have plans for it at this time. I will be sending you, Jenny, an email with links to, there's a great Craftsy class on bead embroidery. Yes, I'm a huge fan of Craftsy. I have taken a bunch of their classes and I really have gotten a lot out of them. As well as there's a book that I have that I will email you information about. It's very much like standard embroidery. If you've ever used embroidery floss and done anything freeform, it's the same concept. You just put a bead on there, on the line as well. But thank you for your compliments, and I'm going to consider it. I will consider it. Maybe I'll do it as a side episode. It might be fun. There'll be, there'll be some challenges to filming that, simply because I'm going to have to set it up so that you can see my hands versus I get to sit and talk to. And it's an exceptionally time-consuming thing to get. Just even a short row of beaded embroidery can take a long period of time. So it could be a really long, slow episode, or it may be a series of episodes. I'm going to have to think on that. I'm gonna think on that. So, what have I been doing? Well, I've been doing a whole bunch of nothing. I've been working on my sweater. My sweater is the Jen pattern by Josie Packman. I had to think about that one. Clearly I've just been knitting and not reading the pattern. It is a top-down, in the round, seamless sweater. I have completed down all but 2.5 inches of the body. I'm knitting in the round, and I'm down to about where I'm going to split the hem and do the rib base. The color is gorgeous. I'm loving it. Let me pull out my progress for you. It's all squished up in my bag. It's been traveling with me. This has become my travel knitting over the past couple weeks. I'm knitting it in the car to and from work. My husband's driving. And I'm knitting it waiting for appointments and during my lunch period to keep it going, to keep it headed in the right direction, because I do want this done in the next month. I will need to do the sleeves next. And hopefully they'll go a little bit quicker than the body because it's been a little slow. But there she is. There's the V-neck. There's the colorway is one of mine. It is the Heirloom Tomato colorway. It's looking really, really blown out on the camera today. I must have bumped something and changed up some settings or something. The color is, like I said, the Heirloom Tomato. It's really rusty oranges and reds. I love it. I think it's just beautiful. I think it's going to be a very flattering color on me. The yarn has been quite delightful to work with. I am using 2 skeins simultaneously. This is my BFL base, and I'm just swapping them out every row to keep it as variegated as possible so there's no pooling, no flashing, nothing like that. And where I've been working straight down the body, the potential for that was very high, despite the fact that it's a variegated dyed yarn. Sometimes when you've got just a set number of stitches, the stars align and you end up with groups of color, and I wanted to avoid that as much as possible. I like it. I tried it on. The fit so far is good. The neck, of course, is all curling up, so I'm looking forward to getting the ribbing on that. And I think I have a good chance at getting this done within my goal period. We hope. I do very much desire to knit another sweater in the very near future. I had chosen a pattern, the Tegan pattern, I think it's called. I have it set aside. I love the pattern. It is Tegan. This is by Jasina Lorkowska. I think it's beautiful. Show that to you real quick. But I needed different yarn for it. The pattern is set up on Ravelry stating that it's a fingering weight. The hand spun that she used, her husband had made, and he labeled that a fingering weight. But when you do the actual math on it, the pattern's basically written for sport weight. So I purchased some sport weight to dye, and I haven't really decided what color I'm going to dye it yet, and I'm taking my time going into that process because I know if I dye that yarn right now, this is going to get set aside and I'm going to start the other sweater, and then I'm going to have 2 unfinished sweaters instead of 1, and I don't want that. I really want to get this one finished before I move on to the other one. The other one, theoretically, being sport weight, will knit up faster and won't take as much time, and I'll love it just as much. My blanket, I was going to finish the row. I didn't, I haven't. Like I said, the sweater's taken precedence, and I haven't finished that row yet. I'm trying not to feel bad about that, but I know that once the sweater is done, I'm going to have a lot more time to work on that. I have also been secretly working on the 4th in my series of Addicted to You patterns. It's called Madly Addicted to You, and it is an exciting project. I'm not going to show it to you yet. I will let you know. It is using 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, again, held together, same as the rest of the Addicted to You series. It's a cowl rather than a scarf, and it has some really fun features to it. It's got a surprise to it, and I really want to finish it before I present it to you so that you have the full effect of the surprise of it. So that's just tucked aside. That's pretty much where I'm at so far this past 2 weeks. I've been busy dyeing, like I said. The Unwound shop is a shop owned by friends of mine, Carolyn and Kate, up in La Crosse, Wisconsin. They opened August 1st. They had their grand opening August 5th. And I think it was August 2nd that I saw another podcaster talking about the shop and showing off one of my skeins of yarn that she'd bought there, which was super exciting. The shop is going really well, as best I can tell from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing online. I'm so proud that I get to wholesale out of there, and I did recently receive another order from Carolyn and Kate, and I spent the past weekend and a little bit yesterday dyeing up that order for them so that I can get that up to them for next weekend. With that comes some exciting news. I will be visiting the shop in November, and I am over the moon about it. I am so excited about it. It will be kind of a trunk show while I'm there, and I'm devising some kits, yarn and pattern, to have available for you to purchase if you come into the shop at that time. I'm also going to have kits available online if you're not able to get to the shop, that you'll be able to purchase through me. I'm really at the stage right now where I have the materials I need to build the kits, but I'm trying to sort out what kits I'm going to offer. And so this is where you get involved. Because these kits are going to be available both online and in stores, I want to be sure that they are kits that are of interest to you. It'd be foolish for them not to be. So I'm asking you as a viewer, would you take a moment, would you do me a favor? Could you please go to my Ravelry store, look at Jessica LaRue on Ravelry, and look at my designs. Which designs appeal to you? Which designs would you be interested in if you saw them available as a kit? Ultimately, I would like to have 2 kits that are hats. I'd like to have a scarf kit, and I'm really leaning right now, possibly 2 scarf kits. I love the idea of my Wildly Addicted to You. I think that would be a fun kit to do. I'm also very, very attached to the original Addicted to You scarf. Let's see if I can show you. And I think that would be a fun kit to add. I'm thinking I would also like to do a shawl kit. And that, I have a number of shawls available. I haven't decided which one I like. Your input would be a huge help. And I'm tempted as well to write up a pattern for a little stuffy and do a mini kit. The stuffy would probably be my little owls. They're very much like this. They've got some beads in them, some poly beads, that would be included in the kit, and then some felt eyes would be included in the kit, or felt so that you could cut out and make eyes of your own, as well as instructions on how to knit the stuffy, how to stuff the stuffy that I'm most likely to add a little bit of stuffing in the kit, and how to seam him up and get him all ready to go and make him just this cute little owl. I'm tempted to do that. If that's of interest as well, I'd love to hear from you guys. I would love to hear what turns you on, what you think would be a great kit to buy as a gift, colors, thoughts, ideas. I want, as always, it's about you guys. What turns you on? What makes it right for you? What do you like? Feel free to feedback to me here via email, write on Ravelry if you like. Take a look at the patterns, take a look at what I've offered you here. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know. It would be a huge help. That's where I'm at. I'm really trying to get back into the swing of filming every weekend, but with all the projects I get going on that I got to get done before I go on my visit to the shop, which will be in November. I don't know if I said that. I'll be going, I'll be at the shop the weekend before Thanksgiving, so if you're trying to beat the gift rush, or if you'd like to just go and enjoy and meet me and buy something for yourself, I would love to meet you. We don't have anything totally formalized yet, but there'll be time to knit and sit and chat, and that would be wonderful. So, I'm going to try to keep us weekly here. I enjoy doing this and spending time with you, and it's a matter of being organized, I think, which normally I am. This just is not like me. Anywho, it's great to see you guys again. It's great to be back with you. I greatly appreciate your feedback, your subscriptions, and I will think seriously about that beading episode for you as well. Until next week, knit on, make it all about you. Bye guys.